The eviction notice taped to her apartment door trembled in Sarah's hands as the cold November wind cut through the hallway. 3 days. She had 3 days to leave the only home her 7-year-old daughter Emma had ever known. Her eyes blurred with tears she couldn't afford to shed because crying meant she wasn't working, and not working meant the $89 in her bank account would somehow need to stretch into infinity. She had worked 2 jobs for the past 4 years, cleaning office buildings at night and working as a barista by day, and it still wasn't enough. The medical bills from Emma's emergency appendectomy last year had buried her beneath a mountain of debt that seemed to grow taller every single day. That morning, as Sarah sat on the worn bus bench waiting for her ride to her new job at Meridian Technologies, a position she'd secured just yesterday through a desperate online application, her phone buzzed with an Uber notification. The car was black, sleek, and looked like it cost more than everything she owned combined. A man in an expensive charcoal suit stepped out from behind the wheel, his sharp features and commanding presence making her instinctively straighten her posture. She assumed he was the driver picking up someone else, but then he looked directly at her and smiled. "Sarah?" he asked, reading her name from his phone. Her heart skipped. She grabbed her worn canvas bag and climbed into the back seat, relieved that her ride had arrived on time. She couldn't afford to be late. She couldn't afford to lose this job before it even started. If you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the transformative moments that change lives forever, please like this video, drop a comment sharing your own story of unexpected grace, and subscribe to our channel. Let's build a community that celebrates hope and human connection. The man drove in silence for the first few minutes, occasionally glancing at her in the rearview mirror with an expression she couldn't quite read. She was too nervous to make small talk, rehearsing her first-day impression in her mind. She had practiced her interview answers over and over, polishing her single professional blouse until it gleamed, borrowing Emma's father's old tie that she'd kept hidden in a box. Everything had to be perfect. This job paid almost double what she made at the coffee shop, and it was her lifeline, the rope she was clinging to before drowning completely. "First day at Meridian?" the man asked, breaking the silence. Sarah nodded, surprised he would engage in conversation. Most Uber drivers didn't, and she'd taken hundreds of rides. "Nervous?" he continued, his voice warm and genuinely curious. "Terrified," she admitted before she could catch herself. She glanced at his profile, noticing the slight smile playing at his lips. "It's a big opportunity for me. I really need this to work out." She didn't know why she was telling him this. A complete stranger, a driver she'd never see again. But there was something in his manner that invited honesty. Something that made her feel like maybe, just maybe, someone in the universe was actually listening to her. They arrived at the gleaming glass tower that housed Meridian Technologies 20 minutes later. The building stretched into the sky like a monument to success, and Sarah felt impossibly small stepping out of the car. The man remained in the driver's seat, watching her with that same unreadable expression. "Good luck, Sarah," he said. "I have a feeling you're going to do something remarkable here." She thanked him, assuming it was just polite small talk, generic encouragement for a nervous stranger. She never could have imagined that those words would turn out to be a prophecy. The first few weeks at Meridian were a blur of learning, adapting, and surviving on caffeine and determination. Sarah worked in the administrative department, handling schedules and logistics for the executive team. She arrived early, stayed late, and threw her entire heart and soul into every task. Her supervisor, Margaret, took notice almost immediately. "You have an energy about you," Margaret told her one afternoon. "Most people here are just going through the motions, but you actually care." Sarah had laughed it off, but the truth was she cared because this job meant everything. Every paycheck went toward paying down debt, building a small emergency fund, and eventually, hopefully, finding a better apartment for Emma. Then one morning, the entire office erupted in controlled chaos. A memo went out announcing a company-wide meeting in the main conference room. Rumors flew through the halls in urgent whispers. New CEO. The position had been empty for 6 months, and everyone was speculating about who would lead them. Sarah was too busy preparing documents to pay much attention until Margaret urgently whispered that she needed to come to the meeting. "Everyone from our department," Margaret said, her eyes wide. "All hands meeting. The new CEO is going to be introduced." Sarah sat in the back of the conference room, her stomach fluttering with nervous anticipation. The company had been struggling. She'd heard the worry in Margaret's voice during late-night filing sessions. Everyone needed this new CEO to be exceptional, to be someone who could turn things around. The lights dimmed. A spotlight illuminated the stage, and then he walked out. The man from the Uber, the kind stranger who had driven her on her first day. It was impossible. Sarah's hands went numb. She watched as he stood at the podium, commanding and confident, addressing the room with the voice of someone accustomed to authority. "I'm Alexander Hart," he said, and there was an undercurrent of quiet power in every syllable. "And I'm here because I believe in the potential of this company, and more importantly, because I believe in the people who make it great." Her mind was spiraling. Uber driver, CEO, millionaire. Her hands trembled as she gripped the edge of her seat. After the presentation, as people filed out discussing the surprise appointment, Sarah tried to slip away unnoticed. But then she heard her name. "Sarah." She turned to find Alexander standing there, that same knowing smile on his face. He'd known all along. The kind questions in the car, the encouragement, the gentle way he'd listened to her fears. He had been testing her, observing her character when she had no idea who he was. "Walk with me," he said, and she followed him down the hallway into an empty conference room, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. "I want to apologize for the deception," he began, his usual confidence replaced with genuine humility. "But I needed to meet you without the weight of my position between us. I needed to see who you really are." Sarah didn't understand. "I've been looking for someone special to head a new initiative we're launching, a program dedicated to supporting single parents returning to the workforce. Margaret mentioned your story, your background, and your work ethic. But I needed to see your heart, and I did. That morning in my car." Within 6 months, Sarah's life had transformed in ways she couldn't have imagined on that terrible day when the eviction notice was taped to her door. She was promoted to Director of Community Outreach and Development, leading the initiative that helped dozens of single parents find meaningful employment. Emma moved into a beautiful apartment with natural light and a view of trees. Emma's school supplies were never again a source of stress. But more than the material changes, something deeper had shifted inside Sarah. She had learned that kindness existed in unexpected places, that sometimes the universe sent angels in expensive suits, and that the darkest moments often contained the seeds of miraculous transformation. One evening, as Sarah sat across from Alexander in the company's rooftop garden, overlooking the city lights, he asked her why she thought she'd trusted him so completely on that first ride. She smiled, tears forming in her eyes. "Because you saw me," she said simply. "You didn't see my poverty or my struggles or my desperation. You saw my strength. You saw my potential. And sometimes that's all a person needs, for someone to truly see them and believe in their possibility." If this story touched your heart, if you felt the weight of Sarah's struggles and the beauty of her unexpected triumph, please share your emotions in the comments below. Tell us about a time when kindness changed your life. Like this video, subscribe to join our community of believers in second chances and human connection, and share this story with someone who needs to hear that miracles are real and grace is always possible. Special request. In the comments below, please write one word that describes how this story made you feel. Just one word. Let's create a wall of human emotion together.